Okay, so today what we're going to be working on is dividing a polynomial by a binomial. So what I want to do is just review with you guys long division, and I'm talking about division when you first learned it back in the elementary school. So take a look at the try list. It says divide using long division. So I have 4,734 divided by 21. All right, so hopefully you guys will recall that the number underneath the symbol, this number, that's the dividend, and this number here is called the divisor, what you're dividing by. And then the answer that we get, the number that we get up top, is called the quotient. Okay, so since I'm doing a two-digit term here, you probably learned back in elementary school, just look at this number here, look at the first number, and see how many times it goes into this number here. So recall, 21 does not go into 4, so then we have to go to 47. So usually you look at the first number here and say, all right, how many times does 2 go into 4? And that's twice. So we're going to try a 2 up top. So the 2 goes above the 7. All right, so I have, and then we multiply down. So we have 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And then what we do with these is we subtract them. So 47 minus 42, so 7 minus 2 is 5. Right, and that becomes 0. And then what we do is we bring down the 3. And then I say to myself, how many times does 2 on the outside go into 5, which is twice. So I have 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Remember, now we subtract them. So 3 minus 2 is 1. 5 minus 4 is 1. We bring down the 4. All right, and now I'm going to look at this number, the 11 and the 2. So how many times does 2 go into 11? Approximately 5 times. Right? So I have 5 times 1, multiply down, 5. 5 times 2 is 10. And then we subtract them, so I have 9. So my quotient is 225 with a remainder, you probably use the R, little r, of 9. All right, so we're going to use the same process with polynomials divided by a binomial. Okay, so let's just take a look at the rules here, what to do. So you're going to look at the first term of the dividend, that's the number that's underneath this symbol, and the divisor, and come up with what you need to have to multiply the first term of the divisor to get the first term in the dividend. All right, so let's set this up. So I have here x minus 6 is my divisor. And I'm dividing that into 2x squared minus 18x plus 36. All right, so you're going to look at the first term of the divisor and the dividend. So I have a 2x squared here and an x. You're looking at those two terms. Now you want to come up with what number, when I multiply it by the x out here, will give me 2x squared? Yes, that would be 2x. So you're going to put that number right above the second term, just like we did in the do now. Put that right above the second term of the dividend. Now you're going to multiply down. Just make sure when you multiply, you are multiplying the 2x times everything that's over here in the divisor. So I have 2x times negative 6 is negative 12x. And then I have 2x times x is 2x squared. All right, now what you have to remember to do is that we are actually subtracting. So you have to subtract here. All right, so it's negative 18x minus negative 12x, and that is actually negative 6x, right? Negative 18 minus negative 12 is negative 6. And then I have here 2x squared minus 2x squared. Well, that becomes 0. That's what I want to happen. And then I'm going to bring down the plus 36 here. All right, now I'm doing the same process. I'm looking at my x, and I'm looking at my negative 6x. So what number can I multiply x by so that I get negative 6x? And that would be negative 6. So I put negative 6 above this 36. Now I'm going to multiply down. So I have negative 6, just watch the signs. Negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And remember, what we're doing is we are subtracting here. All right, so what's 36 minus 36? That is 0. And the same thing here, what's negative 6x minus negative 6x? That is also 0. So my answer is 2x minus 6. This would be my answer right here. 2x minus 6. And notice that I got a remainder of 0. All right, so I want you guys to write this down right below this. Jeez. Oh, actually, put it below. I'm going to write it right above mine since I couldn't move the whole thing up. So just put a star right below this. So right down here, put a star, and I'm going to write it right above here. Okay? When you get a remainder of 0, when you get a remainder of 0, which is what I had, right? I had a remainder of 0. The quotient, that was the answer, and the divisor, that's the number that's on the out here. The quotient, which is this number, and the divisor are factors of the dividend. Okay, so what do I mean? So take this guy here, the 2x squared minus 18x plus 36. Now, if I factor this, right, I multiply the first times the last, I'll get positive 72x squared. The numbers that multiply to 72 add to 18 would be negative 12x, negative 6x. Bring down the 36, bring down the 2x squared, and then factor by grouping, right? Group the first two, group the last two. So my GCF of the first group would be 2x times x minus 6. And then the GCF of the last group would be negative 6 times x minus 6. And then my factors would be 2x minus 6, which is, this is my quotient that I got over here. And my other factor is x minus 6, which is actually, the x minus 6 was my divisor. This is only true, though, when I have a remainder of 0. Okay? All right, so let's try another one. So let's move this. Okay, so I am working on, so this is a long one here. I have 35 x to the 4th plus 51x cubed plus 34 x squared plus 57x plus 1. And I'm dividing that by 7x minus 1. So the process is still the same. It's just a long one here. All right, so let's see. I have 7x and I want to get a 35x to the 4th. So 7x times what gives me 35x to the 4th? That would be 5x to the 3rd. All right, so make sure you multiply down. So I have 5x to the 3rd times negative 1. is negative 5x to the third. And 5x to the third times 7x would be 35x to the fourth. Now remember, we are subtracting here. Okay, so I have 51x to the third minus negative 5x to the third is positive 56x to the third. And then 35x to the fourth minus 35x to the fourth, well, that's 0. All right, and now we're going to bring down 34 plus 34x to the second. All right, so what number can I multiply 7x by so that I get 56x to the third? That would be 8x squared. So now I have positive 8x squared. All right, multiply down. So I have 8x squared times negative 1 is negative 8x squared. And then I have 8x squared times 7x is 56x to the third. And remember again, we're subtracting. So subtract down. So I have 34 minus negative 8x squared is 42x squared. And then I have 56x to the third minus 56x to the third. Well, that's 0. Bring down the 57x. All right, so now we have 7x times what gives me 42x to the second, and that would be positive 6x. All right, so multiply down. So we have 6x times negative 1 is negative 6x. And 6x times 7x is 42x squared. Put parentheses around that. Make sure we are subtracting. So I have here 57x minus negative 6x is positive 63x. And then 42x squared minus 42x squared, well, that's 0. Bring down the plus 1. Okay, so now we have 7x times what gives me 63x, and that would be plus 9. All right, multiply down. So we have negative 9 and 63x. And remember, we're subtracting. All right, so I have 1 minus negative 9 is 10. And then I have here 63 minus 63, well, that's 0. So I have a remainder. My remainder is 10. So how you write this is just like this. This would be my answer. My final answer here would be 5x to the third plus 8x squared plus 6x plus 9 plus, now you're going to add this in, and you add it in as a fraction, 10 over the divisor, 7x minus 1. All right, so I'll just go over how I got that again. So I took my quotient up top. That was 5x to the third plus 8x squared plus 6x plus 9. And then I got this by taking the remainder, which is 10. So I put plus because it's positive. 10, if it was negative, it would be minus. 10 over my divisor, which is 7x. And that went right down here, 7x minus 1. Okay, so that's it for long division, and we'll practice this more tomorrow. Have a good night.